There are lots of tests out there nowadays to help you figure out your vocation or your career, your personality, who you should marry, or your proficiency at this or that. If I were to devise a test to find out whether or not you are a true leader, it would have just one question on it. Just one question. And that will tell you whether or not you have what it takes to be a true leader. And that question would be, can you fight for something with your mind and heart and soul and body, knowing that you will never see the result of your work? Can you fight for something with your mind and heart and soul and body, knowing you will never see the result of your work, that somebody after you, whom you don't even know, will live in that world you fought for, but not you? Can you lead others to that and leave? Just under 2 weeks ago, a number of us from the CSC stood together on a mountain, now in the country of Jordan, called Mount Nebo. Moses died on that mountain. You know the story. He was given a dream that was God's dream, a dream that was bigger than himself, a dream that his own people who were captured and enslaved in Egypt, nothing more than servants there, that they could be set free and live free in a promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey that would be their own. After 40 years of wandering in the desert, a journey fraught with unimaginable suffering, 2 steps forward and 1 back at best. And there, just short of that promised land, it was time for Moses to die. And so God led him to that mountain, and he took him up that mountain called Nebo. And when he got to the top, God showed Moses that promised land and told him, Moses, you have led my people this far. Your work is done. It's time for you to die. Moses could see it from there, but there he died before he could enter into it. He did not go in himself, they did. And we pilgrims, standing there looking out over that promised land that remained for him just a promise, wondered to ourselves if he died happy. Is that a happy death, knowing that he did his best, good days and bad, that he did his best to lead them and keep them together those years in the desert, and then not get to go in himself? Did he die happy, fulfilled? I hope so, because that is the ultimate selflessness. That's true leadership. And John the Baptist in this gospel, John the Baptist led his little group of disciples towards a messianic age, a new Israel. From slavery, this time more of an internal slavery that demanded repentance and conversion, from slavery into the freedom of being sons and daughters of God, only to realize, only to come to terms with the fact that he would not be the one to see the fruit of his work, and that it would be for him to turn his little band, his little company of disciples over to Jesus and let him finish what he began. That is ultimate selflessness, and that is true leadership. Tomorrow, our nation celebrates the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As you know, he was assassinated just a few hours from here down in Memphis. I was there for a wedding, and I wasn't even thinking really about that when I turned the corner downtown on a little walk I was doing, and I saw that motel, and I thought to myself, gosh, that looks so familiar. And all of a sudden it hit me that I know what happens there. He was in Memphis, as you know, leading a march for garbage collectors, sanitation workers, who were treated as anything but human, but as men. And so the motto of the march he led was, I am a man. I am a man. Listen to his words. We mean business now. We are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world. We are saying that we are determined to be men. We are determined to be people. We are saying that we are God's children. And if we are God's children, we don't have to live like we've been forced to live. Now let me say, as I move to my conclusion, that we have got to give ourselves to the struggle until the end. Nothing would be more tragic than to stop at this point here in Memphis. We've got to see it through. Let us develop a kind of dangerous unselfishness. I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter to me now, because I've been to the mountaintop, and I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to that promised land. And so I'm happy. I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Martin Luther King was not a perfect man. But that, my friends, is total selflessness. That is a true leader. Can you fight for something that you will never see with your own eyes, but that someone else will? I've said it before, and I keep bumping into it in myself and in others. We are part of an impatient generation, you and I. We want it all, and we want it now. Inching the world forward by transforming the world's institutions is something that should have been done yesterday and not tomorrow. And so we demand that our institutions agree with us now and see things our way now. And we demand immediately that the injustices within our communities be righted immediately that have been going on too long, or we quit. I can speak to the institution called our church. I know how helpful the Catholic Church could be to help people flourish, and cultures too. And I also know how broken the Catholic Church can be. I've seen both with my own eyes. I know how many have quit the church because of gender issues, orientation issues, or incompetent priests and bishops and their scandals. I have wept over all that and more. I understand. I understand why so many would leave. But the question remains for me to answer for myself. Can I work till my last breath to build something I will never see myself completed? Can I trust that the day will come beyond my lifetime when all will be welcome in the pews of this church and all the churches of the world, where all, without exception, will be welcome? No matter who they are or what they've done, and that at this table and all the tables of our churches, that all, without exception, will be welcome. I know for myself that is hard, and it's hard work to help the church become what it can be still in the world. I will never see it. But if I'm not in it for the long haul, the church loses this voice that is Gary Brown, or perhaps your voice that is who you are. And I lose too. Had I left the priesthood along the way, or left the church, when it felt to me that it was so far from what I imagined Jesus wanted us to be, what Jesus dreamed, when I think of that, I shudder. I shudder because what I have seen of how the church is still, even with all its imperfections, still at the service of transforming human beings. And I see it still, that the church is still in the work of transforming human beings. I would have missed all that. And I shudder to think that I would never have had the chance to love you. And so there's that little test that just really has one question. The world needs true leaders. Can you fight for something with your mind and heart and soul and body, knowing you will never see the result of your work, and that somebody after you, whom you don't even know, will live freely in that world you fought for, but not you?